Hey guys, welcome again to our weekly Amazon A team training. And tonight's going to be great because we have my friend Noelle here. If you guys don't know Noelle, Noelle has been on Amazon or e-commerce for many years. So she's a stay-at-home mom making a full-time income from home. Amazing, right? So she's been in e-commerce for many years. She's done a lot of stuff, Amazon, Walmart, influencer stuff, eBay too, right, Noelle? eBay, Poshmark, and
Mhm.
the platforms too, right? Currently she just stopped doing Walmart for Q4 to focus on Amazon. And she's also doing Amazon Influencer Program, which is she's gonna talk about as well. What else? And when I'm stuck with my business, I usually go to Noelle and her group. That's why she's here today because I do value her opinion and advice. So yeah, with that being said, hey Noelle, how are you?
Hey, good. Yeah. Just to give you guys a backstory, if you haven't seen me on this call before, because I've done a couple others, I started back in 2021, right before pretty much like COVID happened. So I kind of lucked out as far as being able to find very profitable things fast to flip them, because there are shortages for everything. So it was a lot easier when I started. But I essentially started with just doing retail arbitrage. I would go in, I would look specifically for clearance items. Walmart was my favorite store. And I would just scan like 3, 4 hours every other day. I would go in there and I would know what I already scanned, what was the new products, throw them in my cart. And I was looking for anything with like a profit. So I don't know how far you guys are in your, Amazon journey and all e-commerce, but when you're just starting out, you just kind of have to prove the concept to yourself. Is this legit? Can I do this? Do I enjoy it? And then you just start to learn as you go. Keepa is a very big software you should have 100% if you're an Amazon seller. If you don't have it, you're probably making bad decisions. But back then, I never used it. I thought the free version was like, that's all I needed. I don't need this. I'm better than this. And I had a lot of bad buys, and that's okay, and that's just part of the process. So don't feel like you always have to have the best software. Oh, this person's posting about this. I have to go get this. Like, just focus on what you know and just learn as you go. You don't need to know all the answers until a problem comes up. And that's kind of how I ran my Amazon business. I don't look for problems, I wait for them to look for me. And you just keep going. You can't get discouraged. Section threes have been happening and all this stuff. And it may discourage some people from selling on Amazon, but you just keep going. You keep just jumping over it. There's always something with Amazon that's going to happen, like pricing errors, things you can't control. And there's no point in getting like upset about it. You just have to just keep pivoting and be like, okay, well, I'm going to stop selling that brand because now it's going restricted. So let me find a new brand to sell. So started in 2021, and then I decided I wanted to do more online arbitrage. I just couldn't be in stores anymore. I have 2 kids, so you can imagine going in the toy aisle. There's no like scanning. You can't look at your phone at all. Your kids are like running around everywhere. So I started doing online. I pretty much put the kids to bed, and then I would be sourcing like 2 to 4 hours at night online on my computer. Had a really jump like a I would say that was a pretty big hurdle for me. So if you guys are doing a lot of like RA, when you move over to OA, the competition is just a lot heavier because everyone has a computer, everybody has internet to be able to find those deals. So you really have to like figure out how to manufacture your margins as far as, discounted gift cards, waiting for sales to happen, taking advantage of like rewards, like reward accounts and things like that. So that was a little bit of a learning curve. So I started doing that. I've done a little bit of wholesale, very small, like I would say like 5, 10% of my business has been wholesale. And so now, and I had a prep center. I just recently, like this week, I'm actually going to stop using a prep center and go all FBM, mainly because I went from using credit cards and all this, like loans, to now I'm only going cash only. So, it's been a little bit of a hard transition. You kind of have to like really stop and wait to pay off those cards, and then you have to like start again. So because of that, I just need cash, and I only can go at the speed of cash. So if I don't have anything, I can't do anything. So I'm transitioning back to a lot of FBM, until I can ramp that back up again. But that's pretty much where I'm at, as far as like an overview of where I've been at. And I pretty much do OA now, and I plan next year by mid-year to have my own private label brand and to officially get away from OA. That is the goal for next year.
Nice. So
Yeah.
can you explain why you're running on cash right now?
Yeah.
Cards.
Yeah, so I listen to a lot of Dave Ramsey. If you don't know who he is, he's really big on like buying everything with your own money, less risk. You don't owe anything to anyone. If something were to happen, like a Section 3, I don't have any debt. Like I can sit and wait for my account to come back because I don't owe anything. I don't have to worry about a $90,000 Plum credit card that I owed, which at one point I did owe $90,000 on a credit card. And I just recently paid off one that had 40,000. And I've only ever had to pay interest one or two times throughout selling since 2021. But I always knew I would make bad purchases because I had the cash. I would say, oh, well, I'm fine. I can pay it off in 30 days. Versus thinking, hey, this is my bank account. I'm about to spend it right now. Is this worth it for a $2 profit? And I'm like, maybe I'll wait and I'll find something better. So overall, like it just helps you make better buying decisions. I want to be my own investor. I don't want to owe anyone anything. I want to own 100% of everything I have. So I just made the transition from listening, like I said, to Dave Ramsey all the time. Like I listen to their podcast every day. And I just think it just gives me a peace of mind, my family a peace of mind. I don't owe a bunch of debt because even though it's business debt, it's still debt where if something happened, they're coming for you. They're coming to you for it. Like you just don't say, oh, it's my business debt. It's not a big deal. Like it's still tied to your name and you. So that's where the transition comes in. So yeah, it's different. It makes me feel like I'm starting from ground zero because my budget is so low, but you know, that is what it is. And being able to grow it organically is really cool.
I love that. It's very interesting because I remember you doing OPM, right? Like leveraging credit cards and loans. So,
Yeah.
oh, Jill has a question actually in the chat. She said, "How about points?"
Yeah. So, like I said, if you listen to Dave Ramsey, they touch on all these topics. And essentially, points, like no matter what, a credit card is made to make you spend more. So points are like an incentive to make you spend more, right? If you hit $50,000 in the next 6 months, you'll get an extra, X amount of points. So like someone's making money on the credit cards, like the credit card companies are losing money. So yes, you can use 100%. You are able to use credit cards and utilize their points in a way that benefits you and like cheat the system. But at the end of the day, you're probably spending more than you should, over leveraging or buying things you shouldn't buy because you have that credit card. So you feel like that's your safety net when that's really not a safety net. So like for instance, there was a time where I had an opportunity to buy a lot of products and spend $12,000 on this order. And if I was using my own cash, I would not have bought it. But I was like, oh, well, I have the money. I have, I'll have 60 days to pay this off. And it was a risky purchase to make. But I was like, no, like, I went in on it. I ended up losing $12,000 through this whole like purchase thing. It was a bad buy. And if I didn't have a credit card to have as a safety net and have that leverage, I would have never been able to purchase that. So that's kind of how I see it. You always spend more when you use a credit card versus your own checking account. I don't hate on anyone. If you want to use credit cards, I mean, I did it for like almost 3 years. But I've just come to the point where it's just not worth it for me. The points aren't worth it. And a good way to see it is a lot of times you get about 2% cash back. I was using Capital One rewards card. That was my favorite one. And you essentially have to, if you were to spend like $100,000 in the year, you only make $2,000 in reward points. That's all you're making is $2,000. And I know for a fact, I'll probably spend less than $100,000 in a year. And I would like, it's all a way to make you spend more money is what I'm trying to say. So I hope that makes sense.
I don't love it. I really respect it. It takes a lot of self-awareness to do that.
Yeah. So
self-awareness because you're going against like
everything.
the opposite way of thinking, right? No, I do respect it. Honestly, I do.
But I think like my bad buys will be a lot less because I don't have a credit card. So I'll say $2,000, 100%, because I'm not gonna, I'll lose less because you have to liquidate inventory. With Amazon, you always have inventory that's stale that you have to get rid of. So the goal is that you're gonna buy less of that because you just don't have that, that big pot of money to say, oh, well, it's not really my money. And so it doesn't hurt as much when you use it. versus if you're using your own cash, that hurts harder than a credit card. So that's kind of why even the point system, it can be great. And like I said, you can use it where it benefits you. But a lot of people, it just doesn't. You just don't realize it. But yeah. I
And
don't
then
judge
Joe,
anyone
oh,
who does though. If you want to use a credit card, that's okay. Everyone has their own choices and like opinions on it.
yeah, Jill is asking if you're using your business debit card or personal debit card.
Business debit. So
Okay.
as long as you have an EIN, and I think you have to have an LLC, you can open up like a business checking account. And so that's what I use, and I funnel it through there. And you should, at a certain point, you should have those two separate. You shouldn't have it personal business, because if you ever got sued for whatever reason and you had that tied to your personal, they can go for everything. They can go after everything in your personal account. So just be like really mindful of that. Especially, that's the point of having an LLC, is that if someone were to sue you, they only could sue you for your business money and not your personal. But if you're personal and you're selling on Amazon, you get sued, they can come for everything you own, your house, your car, all that stuff. So just be really careful. At a certain point when you realize this is what I'm going to do, you're making good money and all that, get an LLC.
And I love this, honestly. I love it because it's self-awareness, right? Like
Yeah.
each of us have different goals. So
Mhm.
you run your business based on yourself. Like
Yeah.
not based on YouTube, not based on even like what I say, right?
Well, you have to learn. Like, you don't know until you try someone else's way, and you go, I don't really like that, but I like this what they said. So then you implement that. So you kind of have to take from everybody and then realize what you actually enjoy doing. Like, some people hate doing OA; they only like RA. So stick with RA. Like, you don't have to do wholesale just because this person's telling you to. Like, everyone's gonna like a different business model and run it a little bit different.
Right. And you even said you stopped doing Walmart, right?
Mhm.
Even if you know Walmart really well, because again, you're just self-aware, right? Like
Yeah, yeah, that
capacity,
one was
give it
hard because I know there's so much opportunity with Walmart, but it's like I'm just way spread too thin, and I'm like I'm only gonna be like mediocre at all three of those things, or I can dive into two, which I already know Amazon and AIP really well, where I don't really have to like do a lot of research with Walmart. I'm still newer to it, and it was just way too time consuming, and I realized I was like hating it. Like, I was trying to source for it the other day, and I was actually hating sourcing. I'm like, whoa, I don't ever feel like this. Like, I love Amazon and I love AIP. So I'm like, maybe I should just take a break from this. Because you have to enjoy what you do. You should not hate what you do. Whether it's an online business, e-commerce, anything like that. Like, you should actually enjoy the work. And I do enjoy Amazon a lot.
Wow, I love that. Again, self-awareness, right?
Yeah.
It's your
Yeah.
business. You just run it your way, and happiness also matters, right?
Yeah.
Especially during the holidays, because it's gonna be family time. That's really the
Yeah.
purpose of the holidays anyway. I know it's Q4, but really the main point is to make money to be with the fam, right? And travel and enjoy life. It's not really just a slave and make money.
Yeah, I did that. I slaved and made money for 2 of the years I was selling on Amazon. And then that I was so burnt out. I took January and February off. Like, I didn't buy anything. I just let my like inventory and FBA just kind of sell as it could. I got totally burnt out, and I was like, I don't want to do that again. And that next Q4, I wasn't doing RA. It was the very first, it was my third year. I was like, I'm not gonna do RA because you can get crazy. There's so much stuff you can do. And the FOMO is real. And I was like, you know what? I'm just not going to care. And it was hard. But yeah, that was when I fully transitioned out of RA and went to OA.
Love that. And I speak of family, like how do you balance family and the business?
Yeah, so you kind of have to just work in as you can. So depending on if your like partner stays at home or not, depending on their job, you kind of just have to fit it in when you can. So for me, I don't get usually a block of time unless they're sleeping, or I get up early, which I hate getting up early. So I try to, if I can't get up. But pretty much if I really need to get something done, I'll put the kids to bed and I'll work for 2 or 3 hours at night. So I give up my sleep so that way I can get this stuff done and it's off my plate. And then throughout the day, I kind of just work on it as I can. So I usually get about an hour in the morning, and then I maybe get another 1 or 2 hours like in the evening time. And that's it. Like, so I only get like 2 or 3 hours a day to work on my business. So that's why it's so important to like for time management and realizing what's important, what needs my full attention versus not. There's a lot of like small things you have to do on Amazon where you don't need to really like focus in. So you can do that throughout your day, right? You're like, oh, I'm gonna go do this for like 15 minutes. Let me go check on that case. that I made for like a reimbursement for Amazon. And then there's other things like sourcing where you're like, okay, I'm going to need like a 2 hour block to really get into it, really buy stuff. So just being able to learn like what are those different tasks and what that looks like and where you can fit in your schedule because you're never done. Like Amazon is like there's always something to do. It's so you kind of have to just keep going because you're just always going to have something new on your to-do list and just try not to get stressed out and just kind of plan for it.
I mean, my wife are just going and going and going and going.
Yeah.
Never
Well,
ending,
it does
right?
help. If you have a partner at home with you, I don't. So like it's like, anywhere from like 50, 60 hours of the week, it's just me and the kids. So like I can't be on Amazon or, doing all this stuff every day. I always think I'm like, dang, if I was like 10 years ago, fresh out of high school, I was like, if I only I knew about Amazon, if all this stuff was available, like I just, I wonder like what it could be like because I'm like, oh man, I'd have so much time. This would be awesome. But it's also good when you have a family. It kind of makes you focus in on what's important, so you don't waste time. I always think, what did I used to do with my time before I had kids? I don't know. Like I must have had a lot of time.
Love it. Okay, next question is gonna be tough. So Q4 in section 3, right? So
Mhm.
what is section 3 and how do we avoid this thing? Because this one is a big issue right now in the industry.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to avoid it. I mean, the only way anyone can get hit with it, I've seen all different types of sellers. I see a lot of the times it's newer sellers getting hit with it where they deactivate your account. A lot of times, if you're kind of a seasoned seller, I would say probably like 2 year plus, you're probably not going to get it. You may get like a claim on your account that you need to assist, you're at risk. But as far as like actually being deactivated, I see the only time I see it happen to a seasoned seller is they're on multiple listings that are known for being like counterfeit products. Like there's some beauty products that are counterfeit or have been having issues with that. So instead of Amazon going through and seeing, okay, who's legit and who's not, they're essentially just marking everybody is not legit. You're all sending counterfeits, and we want you to prove to us why you aren't. And that's an easy way for Amazon to do just a big sweep without having to do any work themselves, right? And then you have to submit your documents, but now you have, thousands of sellers submitting their documents, and now you're in a queue just waiting your turn to get your account back. So there's not too much you can do about it. The only things you can make sure you're doing is don't sell counterfeit items. Make sure wherever you're buying the items, it's legit. Make sure it's a trusted supplier. So, avoid maybe some liquidation sites, things like that, because they can provide you with, I can't remember the name, but it looks like an invoice, but that's not accepted. Like they have to have the original from like where it was sent. Um, so say like if you bought a Target palette, I would not sell any of that stuff new on Amazon because you can get a counterfeit claim on it and then you can't fight it. And so if you can't fight it, well, you're screwed. Like you can't get your account back. So make sure trusted sites, Target, Kohl's, Walmart, all those are fine. And then make sure you're keeping your receipts if you're going in store. If you use like Marshalls or TJ Maxx, they don't have like on the actual receipt. It's not a like they don't have a title. It's all numbers. If you've ever noticed that, so you have to actually take a picture of the receipt, and then you have to take a picture of each of the items barcodes, so that way you can match it up if anything were to ever happen, and you could submit that in. So you just have to be really careful, have your documents, but if you really want to try to avoid it, I would say try to avoid those higher name brands like Soap Beauty, like avoid beauty altogether if you really want to. Big brands like Nike gets counterfeit claims all the time. But at the same time, I feel like that's kind of silly to be that scared of it. As long as you're doing the right thing, at the end of the day, you'll get your account back. And that's how I see it. I try not to worry about things, like I say, I try not to worry about things until it's an issue for me. And as long as I'm doing the right stuff, I have nothing to be afraid of.
I think the main thing with that too is just have the right receipts, right? As long as you have the receipt.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like
And then,
right
I mean, sorry, and you can have like an attorney. So like I have Jeff Schick on retainer. He's an attorney for Amazon. He helps get your account back. So if you have him on retainer, it's about like $90 a month. If something were to happen, he can help you out, and you don't have to pay a big fee. Where if you did get a Section 3 and hey, I need your help, and you're not on retainer, it's like a lot more money. I think it's like I don't know how much it is. Maybe anywhere from like $1,000 to $2,000 versus if you already a member. you don't have to pay as big of a fee. And you're in like priority. So like he helps you first before anyone who's not within his like group.
Love it. Does anyone have a question? We do open mic, just ask questions. We're doing this again, guys. Come on. Who has questions? Really?
Oh no. I just went into the chat section.
Okay, let's see.
I don't know. I couldn't see because I'm on my phone, so I went to go try to look at
Oh,
it. But
no, there's no questions in the chat. So,
This is Neil here. I got a question.
hey, Neil. Thanks for
Hey,
asking.
how's it going? Yeah, I'm I'm about a 1.5 week noob here at the whole Amazon reseller game, but I just wanted to know what were your biggest struggles throughout your process and your biggest wins?
like just starting out.
Yeah, starting out.
Biggest struggle. Let me go with what I think the biggest wins were first. Because those are easier to remember. I think I push away the bad memories. So the easiest one I would say is having the mindset of I'm going to make this work. A lot of people come into this and they're like, we'll see if this works, if this goes. I like never had that mindset, and mindset is like key with e-commerce because you are your boss. So if you're thinking, oh, today's gonna suck, I'm not gonna find anything good, none of this isn't as easy as people make it look. I mean, it's not, but like you keep going and you say, I'm going to find a product today. And when I was trying to find something to do from home, my motivation was, I want to stay home with my kid. I'm not putting him in daycare. I don't want to work at a grocery store full time anymore. Like, I hate this. I want to change this. So I was like, I'm going to make it work. I remember my husband being like, I don't know, like, can you make the same amount of money you used to? And I'm like, yes, like I know I can. Like, I'm going to work on this. I'm going to, like, I don't care. I'm going to figure it out. I watched YouTube videos. I followed a bunch of people on Instagram. I started getting into communities just to learn as much as I could, Facebook groups. And then I just started doing it. So I would say my biggest win throughout like my whole beginning process was I never thought once, well, I hope this works. It was always, I'm making this work. It's gonna work. So always have that kind of mindset going into it. If you run into an issue, find a community where you can help. So like with Lewis, so you can ask in your community, this is my issue. What can I do about it? And being able to have those people makes a world of a difference. When I joined, I was about 3 months in on my journey when I joined a community, a Discord group. And when I joined that group, my sales like skyrocketed. I found, a group of people in there that I really clicked with. And then we made our own private group and we shared like a huge amount of bolos in there just throughout the year. So just really networking that way can just help you grow. Don't do it on your own. You can do it on your own. It's just going to kind of stall you. You're not going to be able to do as great as things as fast on your own, without some type of mentor or community. I would say my biggest like losses, I guess just trying to learn what's good and what's not. I used credit cards my first, for quite a while. So I never had the issue of like, oh, like I don't have enough capital because I always used credit cards. So I always was like, I do have capital. As long as it sells, I'm good. So I mean, I bought anything and everything. If it made $1 profit, 50 cents, I was buying it. Labeling it myself, sending it all in. So I'm trying to think of something bad, but I really can. Like I thoroughly enjoyed selling on Amazon, scanning products. Like I looked forward to going in the store for 3 hours to go find new stuff. I wish I had more bad things to say. I'm like, I really don't know. Like, I'm trying to think of something that made me mad. The biggest thing I could think of was when I made that really big mistake where it cost me 12 grand. And it was horrible. And I knew I shouldn't have done it. I was like, I knew the risk. And I said, but if everything goes right, I'm going to make, 30,000. And so that is what I was like, I'm going to do it. And I pushed the button. And that wasn't good. So I would say that was my biggest loss is, don't have FOMO and look for things of reasons why you should not buy something. Don't look for reasons to buy it because your mind will actually like make up reasons. Oh yeah, well this will be good, even though all these signs are telling me this probably isn't the best product. You have to just be like, well, because of that, I'm not going to buy it and be really strict. So I was really lenient when I first started. I think that helped me get the ball rolling. But I really had to learn how to pull back and not make those bad buys, because when you make enough bad buys, it outweighs all the good stuff you're doing. And now you're essentially working for very little money. Versus if I only, went with those really good products, I would have actually made more money than I did. I hope that helps. I hope that answered your question.
Oh no, I agree. I feel like mistakes are gonna happen like regardless. Doesn't matter if you're up there, down here, you know what I mean? It's always gonna happen. It's a part of the journey. So
Yeah.
go ahead, Neil.
Yeah, thank you for your share. I just, I'm just so new to this, and I've been pretty much watching the videos that Louis has posted up and just trying to be receptive to all of this information because this is all new to me. I come from the law enforcement world, so just learning this stuff, it's a lot of it's redundant, but the concepts are very they're common sense concepts, I believe. And with all of these apps that you use, it's almost like a calculated risk the way I see it. But also my worries was that like making big mistakes and stuff like that. So I guess it comes with the territory of doing this type of business, and it kind of eases my apprehensions about it with your response. So thank you for that.
Yeah, of course. And to go along with that, you're afraid of spending so much money, right? You see some of these people and they're like, oh, I spent, 10 grand today on stuff. And you're like, holy crap, like 10 grand, are you like, that seems so high. And I remember thinking the same thing. And you out the gate should not be spending $10,000. That would be insane, So like, I remember I was spending like, just like 100, 200, right? 300. And then I started hitting $500 orders at Walmart, shopping there. Then I was hitting like 900. So like you progressively spend more and more, the more you trust yourself and your skills of being able to decide, is this a good product or not? At first, it's going to be hard to find stuff. If it was that easy, everybody would still be doing it. Everybody would still be selling. There wouldn't be people like leaving this. And that's where like that hurdle comes into play. It's always the sourcing part, and actually figuring out what's making you money. And it's okay to make mistakes. And that's why I think even at like, another reason for the cash reason is when you're starting this, you only have a certain amount of cash to play with. So you're going to make better decisions because you're not going to take those risks you may if you had a credit card. So if you're really like scared on that end, I would just say give yourself a hard limit of how much you're going to spend, whether on a credit card or not. Say I'm only going to spend $1,000 a month or 500, whatever that looks like, and that'll help you kind of take a step back and make better buying decisions and just learn. But the best way to learn is to go do it. You have to go make the mistakes to be able to learn what was right and what was wrong. And that's just like Louis said, part of the like journey you take, because you are inventory heavy with this type of business, which means you're going to take losses, and that's fine. You just want to make sure, it's a small percentage of your business first, half of it or more than half.
And your good buys is gonna make up for it anyway.
About what?
Your good buys are gonna make up for all the mistakes anyway.
Yeah, as long as you're learning from them. It's important to know if that product doesn't sell well, you're like, why am I having to keep dropping it? What did I miss in Keepa? What did I miss that this wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be? So being able to go back to those ASINs that were bad and checking on that is really important, or you'll just make the same mistake again without knowing it.
Love it. I also want to add that I think Nicole is being humble because she sold like over 7 figures in products already. You know what I mean? It's a big accomplishment.
Year, yes. Throughout my like entire 2021 since early March, I have sold over 1 million, and then I hit over 6 figures like every year. Like I think I'm at like 300 and something for this year, maybe close to 400. But I had stopped because I moved states, so I had about 2 months where things were really slow. But
I mean, I think it's a great accomplishment.
yeah, it is. I mean, when you think about it, you're like, holy crap, like that's kind of crazy. Like you can sell that much, but you become like almost numb to those things when you've done it, where you're like, oh yeah, like I remember I'm like 20K months, 30K months, 50K months. I'm like, oh yeah, that's easy to hit. Like that doesn't feel hard anymore. And so the more you stay with it, the less hard it feels because you just slowly get to that point of like hitting those sale numbers. So, you're not going to go from 0 to 50K overnight. It's really rare. I'm not saying, there's always exceptions to the rule, but for the most part, it's not going to work like that. You just progressively spend more, and then that means that you make more, and your sales go up.
Love it. Let me see. James,
yeah.
asking, how do you prevent retailers from canceling your order?
I'm assuming you're talking about online arbitrage with that.
Yeah, it does OA.
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Yep.
Do you know of OA Buddy? Have you ever heard of that?
What is that? Oh, wait, what?
OA Buddy.
No.
Okay, if you look up, it's a one-time fee, and it's literally OA, and then it's just the word buddy, Buddy. They will actually tell you if the retailer cancels and how they cancel, what's their minimums, what their maximums are for majority of the sites. So, say for Target, and it's just like a extension, like a cashback would be. You would just press it, and it would just have this little box that appears on your screen, and it tells you. Um, and it may say max of 2 orders of 10 units each, or after 5 orders in a row, I started getting cancels. Like it'll kind of help you, so that will help you as far as knowing what is this site, because other than you just testing it out yourself, you're not going to know, how lenient or how deep can you go on a product first. Okay, should I place multiple orders multiple times throughout the day? And that will kind of help you there. The best other way is learning on your own. So you're going to start seeing, depending on what retailers you shop at most, you're going to see when they cancel it, and you're going to be like, oh, okay, let me try a smaller amount next time. Beauty sites are very strict. So sometimes you only can place like 2 orders, and then they'll just cancel your account. Like you're like done, like they've like blocked you. And those are kind of hard to get around unless you're buying like one product of like each type of like different stuff. Like you have to be very like specific with that.
And it's funny you said that the one that canceled my order was Beauty Bay.
Yeah, beauty items, 100%. They will. You have to be very careful. Like Tarte, I think I ordered only twice from them, maybe 5 units of the same product. Banned. Like can't place another order. Always canceled. You can't do anything about it unless you had a whole new address. Credit card, everything to ship through. So yeah, beauty's hard, but there are ways around it. Shipping it to your PO box, or a different address, your friend's address, your mom's address, things like that, if you're able to. But OA Buddy would help a lot. They have majority of those retail sites. They're going to have on them, and so that's at least a starting point. And then you just start to learn when they cancel you, and like when to pull back, because not all of them block you, but beauty ones will block you.
Okay, that's good to know. That's good to know. And any tips on the learning curve of Keepa? SellerAmp, I'm kind of comfortable with, but that Keepa is just a bunch of squiggly lines right now.
Yeah. Do you have? I'm guessing you have the paid version, correct?
Yes, I do.
Okay, cool. I actually have I think it's a YouTube video of what I look at for Keepa. That guide gives you just like the very basic of what you're looking at. What do these things mean? And then from that, you can take what you think is most important and go with it. Because again, everyone's going to look at different things. But if it's not on YouTube, because I know I made it, it may only have been in like my group Zoom call. I'll send Lewis the link for it, so that way you can at least watch it if it's on private. If it's not on my YouTube. But I would say the main things to look at for Keepa would be the estimated like monthly sold. So the yellow line. Have you seen that?
Hmm.
Okay, the yellow line, I know it sounds funny, but like that's like exactly how you do it. So the yellow line is very important. If you see that, that is like Amazon 100% says this sells at least that amount a month. And so say if it's 50, right? A lot of times, like if it says 50 a month, it actually means it's anywhere from 50 to 99. And if it says 100 a month, that means anywhere from 100 to 199, and then so on. So that is the easiest way to see how much is this thing selling, which is it was one of the most important things to know about a product. Is it selling, and what that number is, and then looking at offer counts. So that's going to be the third graph on the bottom. It's the purple line. You know what that one is?
Not off top. Like if I'm looking at it, then I would know. Do you happen to have it up where you can share your screen or no?
No, I'm actually on my phone. Or
Oh, yeah, that's right. Sorry.
Sorry.
Or
But,
Louis,
okay, so if you're
do you
looking,
have your screen?
I can, yeah. I can pull it up. Yeah, go ahead, Noel. Let me look for a product real quick.
okay. I mean, you could just go to like Prime deals. Just go to any of them,
Let me see.
or go to
So-
like a like a Halloween like inflatable or something. So it has like actual third party sellers. Like type in Bluey Halloween inflatable and do the skeleton one. I was looking at that the other day, so that's why I know about it.
And another question, I heard you say that you started out doing retail arbitrage, but now you're doing online arbitrage and what else?
um, no, that's pretty much what I'm doing right now is that I do like a very small percentage of wholesale, like 5-10%. But I'm
Okay.
going to be transitioning to private label next year where like I want to get rid of all the way, all wholesale and only focus on like my private label,
Wow.
which
Okay.
is like my own brand. Your margins are great. You have way more control. You don't have those brands being restricted. Like I won't have to care about that anymore. So that's like my end goal, have my own brand, and like branch out from there.
Here, found a
That says
product.
a lot. You're doing the kind of numbers you're doing right now, and you're looking to move over to that. That says a lot.
It's always about like progressing. Like with this, you'll find, oh, I really like OA, and then all of a sudden you may be like, well, let me try wholesale. Like, let me see if that works out. Okay, no, I didn't really like that. Let me look at this. So being able to look at all that, like feel those things out. I never thought I was gonna do private label. I was like, I'm not gonna do that. That seems like too much. But like I've been really excited about it. And I'm doing it all cash, which is why I'm continuing doing this. That way I can fund it. So I'm just putting away that stuff, putting away that money that I make to fund that.
And I'm looking at your membership. It says something about Elite Warriors. What does that entail?
Yeah, so that is like the highest membership I have there. It's 100 a month. I'm currently doing a 50% off promotion for Prime Day. So if any of you guys are interested, just you can message Lewis or he can send you my information or message me on Instagram. But that's gonna have Walmart leads. So anyone who's doing Walmart, you're gonna get over, let's say 200 leads for Walmart specifically. You're gonna have over 400 leads for Amazon throughout the month. And you also have wholesale supplier leads. And then you have like a one-on-one 30-minute with me each month. We do group Zoom calls once a month. And then there's a whole bunch of how-to. So like how to train a virtual assistant, how to hire one from Lewis. Lewis is on there. And then a whole bunch of templates like for customers, FBM, FBA reimbursements, a whole bunch of like informational stuff along with like a community as well, just to chat about things happening in Amazon. Or you just come across something and you're like, hey, I don't know what this is. Has anyone experienced this?
Well, you might as well give me that Prime Day code right now.
Okay. Let me hold. I think it's 50 off. I actually have to look that up because I hadn't posted it. I'll post it in the chat by the end of the call. I'll get that up
Okay,
there.
yeah,
I'll have Lewis post
cool.
it for him.
Yeah. So I posted Novelle's IG, her Discord, and YouTube in there.
Wait,
And
you
then,
said I see the IG. Oh, there you go. I see it now.
and then I can put up my screen for Keepa.
Yes, the 50% off is just for the 1 month. So it's 100 a month, normal. And so it'll be $50 for your first month. And then if you continue, you get the value that you want out of it. It will go up to 100 for the next month. And then it just stays there. It just stays at the 100.
Still not a bad deal.
Yeah. Let me
See my
see.
screen?
Yeah, I see it.
Okay. All right.
Pink
I'll come back
line,
to that.
yellow line. Gotcha. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So that third graph on the bottom, that purple, that purple line. Well, this one isn't. Wait, is this the inflatable or did you go to something else?
Oh, crap. This is a private label. Oops.
Yeah. Go to a different one because that's not a good example. It's Bluey. Type in like Bluey. Yeah, you have to type in Bluey for the first. You should know what that is. You have kids.
This
Okay,
one?
it's that first one, yeah. Okay, so just so you guys know, this is the free bolo. If you find this in Walmart, this thing is selling over 500 a month. Like the offer counts have gone way down. Like it's hard to find. So if you happen to come across it, purchase it, list it up as FBM. You'll probably sell it the same day. So
Wow.
if you scroll down, so you see right here, this offer count in purple. If you're looking at a product right now, you're sourcing, right? You come across this product, you can buy it right now, and you see this. This right here, just look, I'll tell you what I'm looking at. I would buy it immediately and I'd probably stock it out. So the first thing you see is, yes, the offer count was really high. but you see it drastically drop down where it's less than 10 sellers. The monthly sales have gone up. It's in high demand. There's not enough people to stock it, and you see the prices skyrocketing. This is something I would FBM. I would not send an FBA. I know this is seasonal, obviously, so I would, I wouldn't be sending in an FBA at this point anyways, with Halloween being like 3 weeks out. But if this was just your normal day item, you would want to take advantage of this by doing FBM. So that way you're on the listing right away. You can get it sold, because you never know when, say, more stock would come in, right? In 2 weeks, if all of a sudden every store gets stocked up again, this offer count's going way up, and that price is going to go back down to, I think it looks like it was, I can't tell from that. Probably looked like it was around like the $40 back at its highest peak. Is that what it's at? 40? 60. Which at that point, I know the price of that's like 35. You're making like $5 right there. But when you move over, now you're making 15, 20 bucks. And this item costs about 35. So looking at this, you're looking at offer counts as one of the big things. So if this was going the opposite way, right? Imagine if we're reading from right to left, and we're seeing that increase, and we're seeing the price drop, we're seeing the sales, that yellow line decrease as well. It wouldn't be something we want to get on. Anytime you see offer counts spiking up really high, really fast, it's always something to take note of and say, you know what? Let me wait a couple weeks. Let me check back on this in, a week, and see what has happened. Because you don't really want to catch it at its peak. You want to catch it when it's falling, or before it gets to that peak. You want to be one of the first ones in or one of the last ones out, is usually what people say. And then you're just looking for a stable price. So this one's a little bit harder because it's seasonal. So, it's going to be high, and then it's going to be low, and it's going to be high again. But for the most part, you kind of want to look at what is the stable price. When does this sell the most, at what price, right? Because something could be $90 right now, and no one's really buying it at 90. But if you look back on Keepa, you see they were getting sales when it was 70. And so even though something's at a high price, it doesn't mean it's selling for that high. So this is just to pretty much keep us here to confirm if this is the product you should buy or not. Seller Amp tells you, hey, this all looks good, BSR looks good, profit looks good. Let's dive into Keepa. And now you're going to figure out, is the price stable? What is that price? And what do I make at it? If worst comes to worst, what am I going to make? What am I going to lose? So that way you know what is your best and worst case scenario, and then you judge the risk off of it. You want to make sure it's selling. So like that yellow line, I know some sellers that will not buy anything unless they see that line, because that is Amazon saying this is how much it's selling, and that is a correct number, where Seller Amp isn't always right. I've seen Seller Amp tell me something sells less than 30 a month, and I sold over 150 that month. So you can't always trust Seller Amp. And so that is something that for sure it is selling that amount, because Amazon's telling you it's coming from their own data. And then that offer counts is important. How many offer counts? Is it going up? Is it going down? Is there big drop-offs in seller count, meaning it goes from 40 to 20 and it's a straight drop down? That would be something happened. Maybe it was a counterfeit complaint that everybody got hit with. Maybe the brand came in and like hit people with IP complaints. Those would be the main things I would say that I look at on average with this. And at some point, you will eventually not have to take 5-10 minutes to look at Keepa chart. You can look at it and immediately know this is looking really good or this is looking really bad. And I could tell immediately if you just sent me this screenshot, I'd be like, oh, this looks really good. I want to look more into this. What is my profit? What is this stuff? So I hope that helps. Do you have any questions as far as that goes?
No, but you really I learned a lot from what you were saying. So just going to take a little bit more practice and things like that, because I've been pretty much making buy decisions mainly off of Seller Amp, but seeing that there's more to look at to make a better
Seller
informed.
Amp is just a quick way of saying, is this worth looking into? That's how I use Seller Amp. It's just a quick way to be like, okay, this looks good on the surface, but let's dive deeper. And that's kind of like Keepa. But it takes time. I didn't used to look at Keepa and be like, oh yeah, I could tell if this was good or not. And sometimes I have to dive a little bit deeper into Keepa myself, because things just look weird. I'm like, oh, I've never seen this before. Let me try to figure out what's going on here. And so all that stuff's important. But I'll have Lewis send that link as well of that YouTube video that goes a little bit more in depth on the other like stats, like the data, the buy box statistics, all that stuff. I'll get him to look at that too and send that over.
Yeah, I would start here, James, and then if you want to click here under data, there's more stuff in here. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in there, but you don't always have to look at all of it. You know, sometimes I have to look at more than normal, but it fully depends on the product and just what it looks like. Because it's kind of like every category is going to be different. So some things would be like a red flag in the kitchen category, but on beauty, it's not a red flag. So it almost helps to be kind of like niche down to specific categories. Once you figure out what you like to sell, it's good to know those specific categories because those Keepa graphs will look different than the other ones. But that's all a part of just learning and growing. You know, right off the bat, it's not going to be that easy. Oh, and by the way, the 50% off, you just all caps elite. I don't know if you want to put
All
that
caps elite.
Yep, just elite and all caps.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
you want to add it to the chat. Questions? No, well, we do this every week.
I have a question.
There you go.
I'm sorry I came in a little late, so you may have answered this already. But would you say at this point in like the fourth quarter is best to just do FBM?
It depends on what you're selling. If it's seasonal stuff, 100% I would FBM it. That's my plan. I'm FBMing all seasonal stuff. I have done like FBA in the past, like Christmas. Like if you wanted to send an FBA, right? You're like, I don't have time for FBM, which is fine. I've been in those positions. Send it in if you can. Like get rid of it so you don't have to worry about it. There's certain things I would say not to. So if you're doing any type of seasonal, I would FBM that because you could possibly get more returns. So as far as like costumes for Halloween, inflatables, certain decorations, people tend to try to return them after, they've used them essentially. So I like to be more on the air of caution because if they send it back to me, FBM, I can charge up to a 50% restocking fee if it's used, all those things. If it comes back after the holiday, I charge them 50%. I'm not afraid. Some people are afraid to charge restocking fees. They think they're going to get a bunch of bad feedbacks. I think I've ever had like one bad feedback from restocking fees. Like I don't want to lose the money. So I try to do more FBM as that side, but if you're just buying like everyday products, it's not something specifically for Q4. So even like toys right now, you could still send them in. It's just at a certain point, if you're specifically trying to hit that Q4 hype, I would FBM it if you're trying to hit it. But if you're just talking about like beauty items or shampoo or, everyday stuff that's going to sell no matter what, I wouldn't necessarily worry and feel like you have to FBM those things because you don't. They're going to keep selling.
Okay, thank you.
So I'm just in between questions. I'm just trying to find that YouTube video to send to you. So
you said code is elite, right? All caps.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's up in the chat? There you go.
I'll double check on my side, but I'm pretty sure that's what I just did. Yeah, that's right.
Questions? Actually, we always do this, Noel. Let's ask questions. Or just type in the chat if you guys don't want to speak.
What is your favorite way to source products?
Okay, so it's changed for me. I'll tell you what I do now versus what is actually going to help you. So what I do now is I build off my current catalog. So I have, almost 4 years of experience, 4 years of products that I've sold. So what I do is I sell the stuff that I sold last year during this time that I know did well. I have data to say, hey, this was good and this was bad. For instance, I just bought costumes. I went back and I checked what was the things that I sold, how many did I sell, how many were returns. And so I had some things where I sold four returns. So I was like, I'm not selling that again. Where I sold something that I sold 10 of and I only had one return. And I was like, all right, I'm going to buy 10 because I knew I sold 10 last year at this price. So right now I build off my current catalog. So whether it's, I look at the same brand, just different products. and I just build off of that. So I kind of have the luxury of doing that now. So I don't really have to source new products a lot as far as starting from scratch, because that's a lot harder, just going to Target and being like, all right, I'm just gonna look at their toy section. And so what I would say from someone who doesn't have a catalog to be able to backdate and build off of it, because you start to know what brands do well and all that from that, I would say look for sales. What I used to do was you could go to Sale Gazer, I believe it's called, which is a pretty much like a rogue email where you can sign up for emails for any brand you want. So depending on what you like to sell, what you see sells well for you. Say if it was Nike, you like to do sportswear. You could go to Nike.com, subscribe to their emails. You could go to Adidas, subscribe to their emails. Go to Puma, subscribe. And so every single day when I would go to source, I would look at the Sale Gazer of all the sales going on and pick the best one first. And I would go through and then I would source that list essentially. And that would be like my lead and where I'm going. And then I would essentially just back and forth. Like I'm copying and pasting, whether it's a UPC, a title, and I'm trying to find that product on Amazon and does it flip? Can I purchase it and make money on it? And then I would just keep doing that. That was probably the easiest way. I would just be looking at sales, because if you buy something full price, I promise you, your competitor is looking for a way to get that cheaper than that full price, whether it's a cashback extension, discounted gift cards, or a coupon, they're gonna find a way to get that cheaper. So if you pay $60 for something and they're only paying 50, well, now they can beat you on price. They have more wiggle room. So if that price drops, you're like, well, I can't go any lower. I'm gonna lose money. And then they're able to cut you down and they're able to get those sales. And now you're just sitting on your hands, essentially waiting until that price goes back up, if it goes back up. And that happens a lot with beauty items. So beauty items, don't ever buy a beauty item for full price. You're overpaying and you're going to destroy yourself with the competition with beauty items, because everyone's using a coupon. Everybody's waiting for those sales. Everybody's using discounted gift cards. So you kind of have to know like your turf. And that category, which is why I think it's so important to figure out what category do you like and then get really knowledgeable in that one. Because like I said, you're going to know in beauty items, oh, this brand always tanks. When I see this on Keepa, this offer count's going up. I always see this brand tanks. And so you can kind of avoid those bad buys, but you kind of have to get in the mess before you can get out of it and really see it from a different perspective.
Okay,
I love what you said. I love that. I mean, there's no way to know until you do it, right?
Yeah. Until you make the mistake and you're like, oh, dang. I mean, I've done it with beauty items. I'm like, oh, man, this is going to be a good profit. Send it in. By the time it gets checked in, 20 other sellers are on it and the price has like dropped. So you have to be competitive. But I would just say, like, looking for sales, you can go to like cashback sites and look who's giving the most cash back. They also show the sales of sites as well. So that can kind of give you a starting place. And then once you find a good lead as you're sourcing, say, okay, well, that was a good lead. Let me look at the other variations. Let me look at the other stuff from that same brand or that same type of clothing or those same type of shoes or that same type of, foundation, whatever it may be. Then build off that. And now you're like rabbit trailing, because that's when you find the good stuff, is when you're rabbit trailing. The first stuff, when you first get into sourcing for the day, it's going to kind of suck. You're kind of trying to find your rhythm. But I find within about half an hour to 45 minutes, then I'm finding a lot of different things. I have like a million tabs open up on my computer and I'm like, okay, now I'm starting to find like too much stuff. I'm like, okay, wait, I'm rabbit trailing like 100 different directions. Because that's really what you want to like focus on. So, and one other thing you could do is when you do find a good product that you like, look at the other sellers selling on it. And reverse search their storefront by like the brand or the category you're trying to source. That can also help you a lot too, just finding an extra stuff by someone else who's selling similar stuff than you are.
Yeah, love that. I got a question as well. So do you do test buys still?
Do I do what?
Test buys?
Test buys, yeah.
How many you usually buy to test it?
I'm really frugal. I used to say 10 to 12, but now I've pulled it back to 3, depending on what it is. Like I said, if there's data that I have from previous years to back it up, then I'll probably buy more. But for the most part, I buy anywhere from like 2 to 3. probably 5 would be my max now. Like I said, it used to be bigger. But I've pulled it back way down because when those test buys didn't do well, well, when I had 10 units, that really sucked. If I lost $3 on each one, now I just lost $30 times 10 new products for the month. You know, your risk factor is way up. So I always thought, you know, if you can buy it for that price once, you're probably going to be able to buy it for that price again. So don't feel like, oh, I have to hurry up and rush. Worst thing that happens is that you find a killer product, you don't buy enough, you know, and you just don't make as much money, but you still made money. So that's another part of like that FOMO of feeling like, well, maybe I need to stock this out. I've had it work against me more than it's worked for me when I've stocked something out. There was a time I bought something and I didn't realize it was being discontinued, but I think I bought like 100 and something. I stocked them out on Home Depot. And it was one of those risky buys. I'm like, if this doesn't work out, I'm losing like, I think there were like $15 each. So I don't know what that comes to, but if it didn't work out, it was gonna hurt. But I was like, well, if it does, I think this is gonna work, and it did. I sold them for like $39, and it was killer, and it was awesome. But then you have a bunch of other ones that aren't like that. So even though it works out sometimes, the majority of the time it will not work out if you stock out a test buy. Because I was just lucky and it got discontinued, so it never did restock, so nobody could find it.
I agree. There's no reason to be trigger happy, right?
Yeah. So go low, because like I said, the worst thing that happens is, okay, I have to wait maybe until the next sale again. But now you know when that next sale comes to like double or triple your buy. So I think being like patient and being like more tactical about it is like the right way to go.
I agree.
All right, I'm gonna send you that link on Instagram just so you can share it, just because I'm on my phone. So
Okay, it's all good.
it's just the Keepa. I made that one. I don't even know when I made that one. That one's probably it's probably slightly outdated, but the stuff in there still fits. It's just not going to have certain things like that. Yeah, the monthly sales that Amazon shows now. But overall, that's going to be a really good,
Yeah,
like, just kind of get you started to kind of understand what am I even looking at. That'll kind of help there.
love it. Any more questions, you guys?
Oh my gosh, it's already 9? Holy
Yeah.
moly, that was fast.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Questions?
Yeah, if not, I guess this is like the end. So any other questions you guys have, whether you could think of it now or if you just want to DM me, I always answer my Instagram DMs. So just let me know you came from Lewis's group too, so that way I can follow back, because sometimes I don't know.
Where can I find the activation code? I'm like on Discord, but
it should be a link in your email. If you check your email, you may have to check spam. It should pop up, and then you just click the link, and then it should let you in.
okay, so it might have been a separate email from the other two.
It would be the email whichever one you signed up with. And you can message me on Instagram too, and I can look it up on like the back end. If there's issues. Sometimes I have it like it's pretty much like 1 out of every 50 people will have some type of issue like that. I think it's just Launchpass because they don't have activation codes anymore. They did away with that, but they still send that alert. So you can just message me. If you message me, if it's still giving you issues and you can't get in, there's no email, then I can get you in.
Okay, I appreciate it.
Yep.
We good, guys? You sure? All right, I guess
well, thanks for having me on. It was fun. Went by really fast. So I literally didn't even know. I was like, oh, let me check what time it is. I haven't seen it. And I was like, oh, dang. So yeah, thanks for having me on. I love being able to talk. So like I said, if you guys have any questions, I'm happy to help. Even if you want me to look at a Keepa chart, you're like, hey, I want to test buy this. Does this look good to you? Does anything looks like wrong? I can even help there too. So feel free to reach out with anything.
Love it. So yeah, you can follow Noelle on Instagram here. Her Discord is here too in the chat, and her YouTube channel. And before she goes, can we give her some reaction? Some thank you in the chat or some emojis.
Yeah, thanks so much.
See, there you go. Can we thank Noelle before she goes? There you go. There you go.
Thank you, and I look forward to watching the replay. I got in a little late, but I definitely feel like I missed a lot of gems, so I look forward to watching the replay. And I will be signing up for your community.
Yeah, perfect. And if you do, you guys can set up that one-on-one with me too. So if you have any other questions and guidance you need, I'm happy to help.
Perfect. Thank you.
Alrighty, guys. Thanks, Noel, for your time.
Yeah, of course.
Appreciate
See you guys
you.
later.
All right, guys.
Have a good night.
Next week, okay? Thanks. Bye-bye.